that I'm very sorry and I apologize for the inconvenience of me not giving up.
Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for another video in which we're gonna talk about why you guys don't have, for example, the same RNG as me, the same perks as me, the same reload time as me, because all the things I acquired, I do not acquire them illegally. I mean, everything I do is based on the game. It's only game mechanisms, and I was quite amazed to see how many people didn't have a real clue about how wargaming is currently working, how you can improve either artificially or definitely by yourself those skills we're going to talk about in this video, and why it's extremely important for you to catch up with all those mechanisms I'm about to talk about right now for you to become a pro player. For those of you who are following the channel for a very long time, and for those of you who are checking the streams, you will see that most of the time I don't wait for my aim to be full to shoot, and my shell will still go in. Why? Because I'm using the right perks we're gonna talk about in this video. I'm gonna give you some tips, overall tips, for you to understand how it's possible to improve those perks. Starting off with the first one being playing the right tanks, and obviously playing fully equipped tanks. Here in my case, we're playing a premium tank, so when you buy it, it's already full, but trust me, it's one of the most important things to do with your tank. But not necessarily the best one. Out there, if you are focusing on your statistics and on your RNG overall, there are way better perks than only focusing on what I'm talking about right now, and we're gonna check them now. The first thing we gotta talk about is obviously being able to fully equip your tank, and obviously equipping it properly. In my case, when I'm playing with the auto reloading, I always go for the calibrated shell, but that's not what is gonna help you a lot. When it comes to the RNG and your shells going exactly where you are aiming, you gotta focus on those two equipments. If you have a tank that will shoot as you are moving, you will probably want to focus and get both those items. If you want to focus on something that goes fast and obviously shooting when you're immobile, so not moving, I would advise you to go for this one. Never have I used supercharge, but I heard a lot of good about that thing, but I never tried it, so I'm not in place to be able to tell you what to play. So if I was you, I would go for the enhanced gun lane drive, obviously, and after you have to pick the right one here. Either you are going to stay immobile while shooting and you want to go for a refined gun, or you are going to shoot while driving, and therefore vertical stabilizer seems to be a better choice. But overall, having a good knowledge of equipments is extremely important. I'll probably do an equipment review or equipment guide for you to understand all of those perks, even if I did one in the past, but don't worry, we have several things to go through after. The second or third thing I should say, which is extremely important for you to understand, is the crew perks. First thing first, how do you get to crew perks? You just have to click right there. Wait, I'm gonna move a little bit my camera so you can see what we're gonna talk about right now. It's better. You gotta click right there on that icon. When you get here, you will have all the perks your crew has. And it's extremely important to maximize that, simply because it's not the crew that I have only on my Emil 1951. It's basically the crew I have on all single one of my tanks. It's like World of Tank Blitz. In your garage, you only have one crew that you guys have to improve by adding some perks. Those perks are going to be unlockable either through gold, which is the easiest way, obviously, through free experience, or through normal experience just by grinding your tanks. You have four possibilities or four categories of perks: tank destroyer perks, light perks, medium perks, and heavy perks. All of them are unlockable by playing the tank that represents the class. For example, if you want to unlock the tank destroyer perks, you will have to play a tank destroyer. And you see all those things right there. And just because you unlock a perks from the medium doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to, for example, a tank destroyer. All those perks we talk about right there will be added to every single one of your tank, regardless of the class. class. And out of all those skills you have to acquire, some of them are more important than others. Obviously, the main one I would tell you to go for is Precision Fire, because after 3 shots in a row and deal damage with each shot, you will get 35% chances of dealing maximum damage with the next shot. Therefore, do a max roll. And trust me, this equipment will allow you to increase slightly your damage per minute, not damage per minute, but your average damage per game, and you will be able to climb up to those kind of stats with 2.5k damage. Obviously, you will have to play higher tier, but it's extremely important for you to understand that this is the go-to perks, the first one you want to get. For the others, I'll do a complete guide, but talking briefly about them, you should go first for the Precision Fire. After, for the Hasty Shot, that's the one that's going to help you with the RNG. It gives you 7% chances every time you shoot to have an accurate shot when the dispersion is more than 100, therefore every time you snapshot. And 7%, even if it seems quite small, it's still something, because 7% out of 100 shots, it means 7 shots out of 100 will go exactly where you are aiming. And when it turns out that you have this skill added when you are playing a Smasher or any dirt guns, you're gonna be satisfied like hell. Obviously, there are other perks we gotta talk about. The Smooth Turret Traverse, which will reduce the gun dispersion when you are moving your turret. All those perks like reducing effectiveness, loss of critical damage module, which will allow you to sustain more on the battlefield. But overall, you gotta maximize all those perks as much as you can. It's extremely important for you to get all those if you want to become a good player, and also if you want to have those nasty shots. Last but not least, equipping properly your tank. What do I mean by that? On all tanks, you have something called the provisions that you can see right there on screen. And regardless of what tank you are playing, you will have them. And those provisions, I always equip my tank with the exact same, but it really depends on how you want to play your tank. Let me explain to you briefly. The first provision, it's going to be, depending on the nation, it can be cheesehead, because we're talking about Italians. If it's the Czechoslovakian tank, it's going to be goulash. If it's the French, it's going to be coffee and croissant. And if you use all those perks correctly, you will understand that when it comes to provision, you always need to get this one. Let me explain to you briefly what it does. It added 10% to crew mastery. What does it mean? It means that it's going to increase the overall statistics of your tank and therefore make you a better competitive tank on the battlefield. And look at this, how it's extremely high. It's extremely good, let me say it like this, especially concerning the gun dispersion and the average speed. I know it seems not too much because it only added 1 to the top kilometer per hour and only 0.015 for the gun dispersion, but trust me, it's gonna make the difference on the long run. So obviously, when you have a new tank, you always want to equip Cheesehead or the provision, the first provision that is available here. Now, you can choose after. I know some people like to double the provisions by adding the second one that will give you a total of 13% crew mastery bonuses, but I'm not a really big fan because here on this one, I don't really see the difference. It's gonna make just a small difference, but not enough for me to rather play this than the protective kit or even the improved fuel. The second thing I'm going on, and it's pretty much on every single one of my tank, it's the improved fuel. Why? It allows you to be faster on the battlefield, and therefore you can take advanced position before your opponents or even before your allies. Therefore, you will have the possibility of making more damage, playing more aggressively, spotting more tanks, and therefore being more useful on the battlefield. Obviously, you will still need to know where to go, have knowledge of maps and everything. But once you acquire the knowledge of map, it's extremely important for you to understand how improved fuel can help you on the battlefield. And for the last one, I'm going to take whatever tank because I'm actually using all the same on all my tanks. I like to play with the protective kit. That's something that is kind of a passive skill because as you can see, it allows you to get plus 15% to protection of crew from injuries, 10% to speed of module repair. It's overall a passive skill that will improve all the statistics once you are in deep shit. Let's say it like that. When you have something to repair, when you have a crew knocked out, when you have a module knocked out, everything. And that's why I think protective kit, is extremely important to add on your tank because with this, guys, you will be able to sustain even more on the battlefield. And it goes in pair with the improved fuel because if you play with improved fuel, you take advanced position. If you take advanced position, you are subject to take some shots. if you are subject to take some shots, you better have a protective kit to avoid getting, I don't know, ammo-racked or getting any crew members completely knocked out. And once you do all of that, guys, congratulations, you will have the same RNG as the one I have. Obviously, there is still a random part because your RNG is gonna fluctuate every time you shoot, but trust me, if you already do all those advice I gave you in that video, it will help you quite a lot on the battlefield to be even more effective than before. Now, if you enjoyed, feel free to subscribe, like, and share. I'm gonna see you soon for a new video, but before ending that video, I just want to talk about something with you guys. I have a Twitch account that you can follow. The link will be in the description. I'm trying to stream, not on Twitch, but on YouTube. I'm trying to stream regularly some World of Tanks Blitz content. It would be awesome if you want to hit here, because I'm actually answering to questions. I'm reading the chat, and I'm trying to interact as much as I can with my community, depending on your questions, etc. And one last thing I want to add, if you come on my Twitch, I'm going to try to develop a little bit my Twitch. It's important for me, but not necessarily for World of Tanks Blitz, but for other games. At the moment, War Thunder, but I'm going to try pretty soon Osiris New Dawn with a friend. So if you want to give it a try and to see how it goes on other games, feel free to jump in. That would be my pleasure to host you. Hopefully you enjoyed. You know what to do if you did, and I'm going to see you soon for a new video. Au revoir.